All right, welcome back. We are going to now talk about. We kind of had this discussion the other week, Brett, which was all right. Well, what if the U.S. played a 4-4-2? What would that look like? Not that, not that Greg's going to do that, right?
Let's also make mention here that you and I have talked about how we think that the 4-4-2 is underutilized at this point.
It sure as hell is.
Everywhere. It's like that's such a taboo thing to do now.
Yeah,
you can do
so
a 4-5-1 or you can do a 4-3-3 or some variations between them, but a 4-4-2, fuck right off.
Oh, it's so uncool to do a 4-4-2. You know, it's so boring. God, sometimes just let's make the game easier. 4-4-2, frankly, is easier to understand. Everybody's position is pretty easy to understand. Your responsibilities are easier to understand in many ways. You don't have to do a whole lot of shifting left to right because you've got, the center part of the field and the back part of the field covered with 4 players each. Anyhow, we could go on and on and on about, some of the positives about a 4-4-2. But so we decided, well, we'll come up with our own. What would a U.S. men's national team look like in a 4-4-2? So we're going to use mine as the first example. And here it is. So we've got, some of this is obvious. Steffen's in the goal. Then you got Robinson on the left, Brooks the middle, Richards. Dest I've got pushed a little bit more because I want him to get up the field and do some attacking. As you'll notice, I have Robinson a bit far back. I'd rather Robinson focus on defense. I mean, I want him to go a little up so he can pass it to Pulisic, but I don't necessarily know if I want him, winging out past Pulisic on the left that much. I want him to sit pat. I want Dest to have more of the opportunity to move up on the right behind Musa and around Musa. Who I have in the midfield with Adams, McKennie, and Pulisic, who have pushed up a little as well, because I want him to be thinking about getting on the attack. And then I've got Reyna playing underneath Sargent, where he's free to roam on all around to get the ball. And then, or in the other case, if Sargent gets the ball and holds it up, Reyna makes the move, makes the cut. But
the U.S. version of Holland right there.
Yeah, exactly.
and what we're trying to describe, not necessarily in skill set alone, but just saying that's what we want to see.
Yeah, when you say Holland, you mean the player Holland, not the country.
Yeah, not Holland.
Yes, and it is. I'm using Sargent as Holland, although Sargent's no Holland. He can be. We've seen him score 3 goals in 3 games in a row now. So we know he can kick it. But if we could get Reyna to give those through balls to him, and they could have that sort of electric partnership that Reyna and Holland had for a short while, that would be great. But we can't do that because right now Greg doesn't play a second striker or a CAM or an AM. So this is just a dream.
But in fairness, in that sense, though, to our example there, neither does Dortmund. So
that's true.
Yeah, but yeah,
that's true. But any thoughts on how this is arranged here?
No, actually, and we'll see my lineup. Although I noticed a glaring mistake on mine. looking at the I transferred my Olympic roster and I failed to make one change.
Yes, you did.
I saw that and go, am I still on the Olympic roster?
No, is Marcinkowski starting for the net? Oh, my God.
He had a great Olympics. That's all I can say. Whoops.
I noticed that, but you know what?
It's fortunate.
I knew it was an honest mistake. Yeah. So we're just going to put a red circle around that, and that's going to say Steffen.
So back to my point before having to take that little tangent. You and I have had, oddly enough, and this may just stem from us communicating a lot and having the same thought process, but we had the exact same setup outside of a little bit of formation change, but same players in the same locations. Because I ended up going with the more of a Bob Bradley empty bucket motif, if you will.
Right, you did, and
because I want Musa and Pulisic to have that Dempsey and Donovan approach where you can come back into the attack, the defense, if you need to, but we want you to stay up there because we have basically 2 box-to-box midfielders that are going to help the defense out the entire game.
Yeah,
and it's going to open it up to where Pulisic and they have that freedom to run up and down the field. Because I mean, that's one thing that they benefit from is they have that pace, and they're not being forced to be marked by like 2 center backs the entire time. So it just it gives them that bit of freedom.
And I mean, my only thoughts about criticism would be that it's not wide enough for me.
I just wanted I wanted to make it look like a bucket. Okay.
Oh,
they can touch more of the sideline if they want. That's fine. I'm just saying. To make a point. I wanted it to show the empty bucket. But yeah, doing the empty bucket, allowing them to pinch in, gives Robinson and Dest the freedom to run up.
I really don't want Robinson running up much.
I'm fine with him running up. It's his defense I'm concerned with.
I don't. I mean,
it's more his defense that I'm concerned with than his presence in the offense.
I'm worried about his defense, and I
That's
don't
what
want
I just said. Literally.
Yeah, I don't want him to overcommit and play too much offense. I'd rather leave that to Dest on the right wing and make sure we always have 3 in the back. You know, at least Robinson, Brooks, and Richards, and I would emphasize the move up on Dest's side. But
I think it's the ability with the empty bucket, though, with the ability of them making that run forward. It just depends on where the ball's located at.
Yeah.
So I mean, quite frankly, you can't expect Dest. You can expect Dest to make the run. Save Pulisic has. He can always look for that through ball, that long ball to break the defense. But most likely, what's going to happen is Adams or Pulisic will have the ball, or Rainier will have the ball, and Robinson, will make that run if the opportunity is available, similar to how we did it back in the empty bucket days of Bob Bradley. So I mean, it's just,
yeah,
I don't know. That's the formation I went with. I thought, in my opinion, that played to play to those specific players' strength.
So you're playing a 4-2-2-1-1.
Well, I mean, yes, the way it looks, yes.
Yeah,
I want Reyna to be more of an attack-minded midfielder / striker, and obviously Sargent's still going to play that target, but Reyna is going to be able to run off of him, or Pulisic or Musa is going to be able to run off of him.
I mean, you could call this a 4-2-3-1 actually. You could.
Sure, you could absolutely, but we're going with 4-4-2, so it's the empty bucket.
So it's 4-2-2, 4-2-2-2.
Yes.
4-2-2-2. Yeah, it's Bradley's empty bucket, except I think Bradley may have probably just placed Sargent and Reyna right next to each other, but then gave them free reign to go wherever they want, or one of them more free reign than the other. You know,
I could move them next to each other if you'd want, but I figured this is how it would form anyways. Reyna would come back into more of the midfield drop position to receive it, and then look for the distribution if needed.
I mean, you're certainly getting enough cover with Adams and McKinney in front of the back 4.
Sure.
There's no doubt. Both of those guys that's like having 3 guys, not 2. Mm-hmm. They are so active. And then, you know, my only other thought was, okay, you got Morris, Musa, Areola, like, make a choice, dude.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's kind of in order, because if Morris was healthy, I'd go with him, because assuming that Musa hasn't really decided between us or England yet, I can't necessarily say he's my go-to. So Morris would be my first go-to, then Musa, then Areola.
Well, I'm putting Way out there before I'm putting.
Yeah, that's Areola. A good point. I didn't even think about Way. My bad. Yeah, I probably would put him over Areola at the very least.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out if this Morris, Musa, Areola thing was like a Frankenstein creature of the 3, or it was...
we don't want Morris's knees. We'll put it that way.
Yeah,
so bad for the kid, man.
Yeah, I don't want
a promising talent just crippled literally at the knee.
Well, I don't want Musa burdened with Areola and Morris's knees. So
we'll take his knees.
We'll take his legs.
We'll pick and choose between several players. We'll come up with, like, you know, a Superman, if you will.
I'll take Morris's speed, and then we'll use Areola's just calmness. Maybe mixing all 3 together. Although Musa's a pretty calm character as well, by the way. And he has no shot whatsoever at making the upcoming Euro games for England. He
does have a chance for the upcoming March friendlies for the United States.
He does, and I mean, when the English team manager comes out and said, we're looking for him to play in our U21s. And our guy's like, no, we want you to play for our fucking national team, not our U21s. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Then either that shows that English think that they've got such a solid rock team that a guy like Musa's got no shot to be in it, or we're desperate. I think the actual answer is that the English national team is way overrated. I know that's going to be a very controversial thing to say. And they think very highly of themselves to think that Musa doesn't even belong in their 23, or at least their U23s, or at least their Olympic team. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. So I know they've got a lot of good young players coming up, but, you know, I guess better for us because we're going to get a sniff at Folarin Balogun. We're going to get a sniff at, we've already gotten a sniff of Yunus Musa, and now we're just hoping he gets stuck in our nose and we get to keep him.
The analogy got really weird there in the end.
I know. It happens. It happens when I'm having cocktails. All right. Well, this is going to be probably a shorter segment than we thought, but any last thoughts on, we should probably just quickly deal with the fact that this isn't going to happen. Your formation that you picked has a better shot actually being a 4-2-3-1 than mine does, which is mine's like a literal 4-4-2. Yours is sort of a take on a 4-4-2. Yours has got a better chance at happening than mine. I'm going to say that now.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically the lineup we're looking at right now would be no different with just pushing Musa more into the center, pushing Reyna out right, and then there you go. You got your 4-3-3 that Berhalter wants.
No, I'm saying Berhalter has fiddled with a 4-2-3-1 before. So there is a shot that your 4-2-3-1, maybe not exactly like you imagine it, but close to how you've pictured it here, has a chance of happening. Mine has no chance.
I absolutely hate solo striker formations. I know that's kind of nitpicking to an extent, but I mean, at least in the 4-3-3, as a former
striker, it bugs you.
Yeah, in the 4-3, well, now that worked to my benefit because I played a less talented State and I was fast. Mm-hmm. Not so fast anymore, but still, I was fast at the time.
I never thought of you as being fast. That's funny.
I was really fast. I was fast and I could shoot. But
I thought you could shoot.
I was never the player that was going to do some fancy dribbling. I would literally I would run at the defense, make a move, and either get past them or don't. Yeah. But I could absolutely place a shot like nobody's business. But I don't like solo striker formations because we tend to end up camping further and further back, and then all of a sudden our striker is just out on an island by himself.
He's on an island, and you just end up just roaming around the bottom of the circle, and waiting and shifting back and man, it gets frustrating when you're not playing. There's nothing worse than watching other people play soccer when you're on the field supposed to be making a difference.
And in our history, as far as playing a solo striker, all that means is that solo striker is going to get reamed from behind and draw a foul every single time.
Yeah.
And as good as Sargent is at that with Bremen, as a striker, I would not like that to be my only job.
No, I totally agree with you. And, back in the day, and I played in the 80s, in the early 90s, it would have been very frustrating to be a striker that was only used in that way, as a hold-up guy to distribute. I mean, the whole idea of being a striker was to score. I mean, that's why you were on the field, right? You were the best player on the field at scoring goals, and yet now you are the best guy holding up the ball so other people can get involved. So hopefully you can score. Now, I mean, I'd much
Predominantly,
rather.
that means the other people who you're holding the ball up for will score. At least with our team, that's how
I
it works
know.
out.
I'd much rather be the guy getting the through balls and shooting on goal.
Mhm.
But so that's just got to be frustrating for Sargent. But he must have had some sort of premonition because what is it, after another game where he didn't score, people asked him in the press, he said the goals are coming.
Oh yeah, he got a goal. He had his first goal in a long time, and he flat out stated, he goes, "Yeah, more goals will come." And
Yeah.
then, bang, bang, immediately right after each other.
Yeah. He's like the Nostradamus.
You beat me to it.
He's like the Nostradamus of himself. It's great. All right. So that should do it for this portion. And we will see you guys after. Well, we'll talk about how things went this weekend and whether Pulisic played. And I think he will versus Leeds. So he'll play more. He'll actually probably start. But until then, we'll talk. We will see you next time on the Straight Red Card. All right.